Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and the Genets. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host, John. And today, we continue our Holy Week lineup with the Omen, since it has something to do with biblical stuff.
Religion.
Yeah. And there's a new movie coming out after Holy Week. Funny enough.
Is it like a recreation of this?
The new one?
Yeah, like Omens.
It's
It was like Omens something.
It's a prequel to this one. Answers some questions that lingered today. Hopefully it does. I mean, then what's the point of it being a prequel then?
I guess.
There's also another Antichrist movie with Sydney Sweeney. Funny enough, it's also after Holy Week, so I'm guessing they did that on purpose. Because they're like, we can't drop that in Holy Week. We'll get cancelled by every religious person who follows the Bible.
I guess. And I was also asking. I was like, is this a Holy Week movie? And I guess so. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. How did you come to this movie, or was this your first time, like Dogma?
This is my first time. This is my first time watching this, and like going through it, I was just like, who is this character? Like the character of God, what's his name? The ambassador.
Richard Thorne.
Richard. Yeah. And he's played by the actor
Gregory Peck,
Gregory Peck. And I was like the whole time I was like, this man sounds like he could, stand up for himself or other people, and like defend an entire race from a very racist town.
Yeah.
Why does he sound so familiar?
He sounds like he can kill a mockingbird if he wanted to.
No, he can't. No, he can't. That was the entire purpose of the fucking movie, is that he doesn't.
Right?
Because there is no point to it.
Right? Exactly.
Anyway, he's...
It's been a while since I've seen that movie, so forgive me if I forget the message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike other old movies, that one, and this one, of course, hold up today. But I find it interesting enough that this is done by the director, Richard Donner, who goes on to direct such hits such as Superman 1 and 2 and Lethal Weapon. So... he does all genres, and that's the mark of a good director. He also does The Goonies later on.
Okay.
But yeah, for this movie, it's about this family who raises a child that is not their own. You find that out early on into this movie that this kid, Damien, is not their own, and you're like,
yeah.
If you don't know anything about The Omen, or if you don't look at the poster, you're like, what's this movie about? I don't get this.
I love the poster for this one. It's just like a person at an alleyway.
Yeah.
And then like as a shadow like cast, it's the cross. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah. And you're like, is this an Exorcist movie? And like weird stuff happens. Well, not just weird, but disturbingly shocking stuff happens to people around Damien, like the babysitter. And you're like, well, that was unexpected, and I forget how disturbing these 70s horror movies can be, but holy shit.
Yeah. And like as we're going through, it seems like a normal kind of thing. Yes, we have already like seen the fucked up part of like, oh, he's like bringing the other baby because she's been wanting a kid for a while now, and she'll be heartbroken if she finds out her actual kid died. I was like, is that not okay? You know what? Never mind.
Right?
Like they just carry on with their lives. They take care of Damien until he's 5, and it's his birthday, and his father becomes the ambassador for London.
Yeah. So this family is pretty powerful. Like they have political influence, and you just keep wondering like, what is this movie about? Again, if you don't see it for the first time, you're just like, why does weird stuff happen around Damien? Don't understand this.
So like we get to the nanny scene, and it was fucked up.
Yeah.
And like the lady unalives herself.
Yeah.
In front of a lot of kids at a birthday party, and just like, I'm glad this did not come out this year, because for sure it would have been a bit more graphic and messed up.
But that's the thing about the 70s horror movies for me, that even though it's not filled with gore, it's still pretty disturbing.
Yeah, just like okay, if say the effects or how they filmed it wasn't working for you, the concept alone is kind of messed up.
Yeah, but yeah, not only do people go haywire or do messed up stuff around Damien, so do the animals. Like that time his mom brings him to the zoo and all the
Zoo.
baboons are
I
just
never
like,
knew that was a thing, by the way.
yeah, you could just,
70s were cool.
right? Because you
What would
actually,
happen if you brought a monkey? Like, it's clinged to your car and you just brought it home.
yeah, I was like, is this like our Zubik safari but just with baboons? But
Yeah,
the baboons and giraffes are just like, we don't like this kid. Something about
yeah.
him. Uh,
Like, even the giraffes, like, ran away.
yeah,
But for some reason, like, the baboons was just like, you know what, let's kill this kid. You know?
yeah,
So they do. For me, this might have been the most terrifying part of this movie.
the
Not
baboons.
gonna lie. Yeah. Like, this shit was scary, especially, like, how the fuck did they film this?
Right? Like you wonder, since a lot of the rules today aren't set in place, you're like, I wonder how much the actors or some people were like, yeah, we can do this. Why not?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and like, there's this priest who keeps following Richard Dorn of like, keeps warning him about the child. He's like, well, sir, we made mistakes, made terrible mistakes. I was there that night when we made the mistake, and you're like, what mistake is he talking about? Don't understand what's happening with this kid. Like
Yeah.
Mrs. Baylock, the new nanny, is quite obsessed with Damien too. And like,
The entire time, she was, like, so adamant. I was like, may I see the child? And like, yes, we wouldn't mind. You know, like, the entire time I was like, y'all don't see the red flags here. Girl kind of a little too adamant on trying to see the kid instead of making a good impression,
right?
you know? Yeah. And she's like storming off, and they're like, did you hire her? I didn't hire her. I thought you did.
Yeah,
And they like rush out, and it was like, whoa. We didn't hire you. And she was like, oh no, you know, the government hired me because, you know, your nanny died.
Yeah.
Here's my reference. Ciao. And I was
like that was too quick. And then she brings in,
yeah, I was like, yeah, we were like, you don't want a background check? Call the agency, you know?
yeah, she brings in what looks like to be a stray Rottweiler, and you're like, well, that's terrifying. The dog doesn't like
Yeah,
me.
go on.
Dog doesn't like
Yeah.
me, and I never gave permission for this Rottweiler to be here. Why is this
Yeah.
here?
Like, this, not gonna lie, like, the nanny alone is so unnerving and, like, already sus from the beginning.
Yeah,
Like, the entire time, like, they're supposed to go to a wedding. It's like, oh, I feel like Damien wants to go to the park. And we're like, that's not for you to dictate, but okay.
yeah,
And then, like, oh, Damien wanted to keep this dog. And I was like, again, not for you to dictate.
yeah. I don't think Damien wants to go to church. I think he just wants to stay home. And you're like, why? Can you answer us that? Why? We're a political family and we're going to this important wedding. Why can't we bring a child? And then you see then Baylock just be like, no, it's not proper for a 5-year-old. And you're like, I get
Like,
your
you
point.
wouldn't understand the concepts of wedding.
Yeah. Like, I get your point, but at the same time, just let them be. You're being a bit, not a bit, but too pushy at this point.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, the reason why she's doing that is so she gets a lot more alone time with Damien. So she could, I guess, influence him because
Yeah.
he's the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no, like, like, the whole plot is that Damien is what, like,
The
reborn, you know, the Antichrist.
Antichrist.
Reborn.
You're like, you will watch movies like this from the 70s and you're like, who the fuck comes up with this shit?
Yeah. Not gonna lie, you're just like, what kind of bullshit lottery? Like, did you have to win to get the Antichrist as your adopted child?
Right? You're like, what numbers had to fall in place aside from 666 for you to be like, oh, congrats, your baby is
Here's the
the end. It's like, congratulations, your gender is Armageddon. Good job.
All right. Fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like, like, oh, look at this beautiful baby demon. He will come into a political power as soon as he reaches the right age.
Yeah, and apparently the priest tries to warn him, and like at this point you're still like, is the priest trying to imply that Damien is the end of all things?
Yeah,
What?
like Hellboy style.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, to any priest who happens to have an epiphany and being like, "Oh shit, I gave a baby to a political family and it happens to be the Antichrist," don't speak in riddles.
Yeah.
Don't start reciting a verse and you think, "Oh, we get you." It's like, no. He's like, oh, the rapture of the child and within the hands of the monkey, and I'm like, we're like, speak straight so he gets it.
Yeah.
Like the whole time he was like, give me 5. Like the priest was like, give me 5 minutes. I'll explain everything, and that's just losing his fucking mind. I get it, he was on opium, but
Yeah. He's like,
still,
the great beast will rise from the sea, and all doom will come. And you're like, can you get to the point, man?
yeah. It's like, I was like, yeah, all right, cool. What?
Yeah.
I already didn't read the Bible the first time. Sorry, I didn't understand what the Bible meant the first time. So come on, let's wrap it up, kind of deal.
Yeah.
But,
And then the priest suffers one of the most hilarious deaths in all of horror movies. You're like, you could have moved, you know?
yeah, because like it was a straight up horror movie trope of like okay, not gonna lie, that shit was cool. I don't know how they controlled that, where like the wind was blowing and he's like trying to run. Like, did they film him during like a typhoon or like a storm? I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so like he's running around, just lightning like hitting the floor. Clearly, like otherworldly things is out for him.
Yeah.
Probably because of his opium addiction. I don't know, but but like he gets to the church and then like I think there was like a pike
Mm-hmm.
up above, and then like he gets struck by lightning and the man just like waits for it to come. He's
Right.
like, ah!
Yeah, you're like, man, you could have just moved. For a
Yeah,
bit.
or like hug the wall, you know?
He's like, ah. You're like,
No,
oh.
it was like, ah! ah. It stayed, like, it was a solid 5 seconds. I was like, I think this is like Darwin's theory, like,
Right.
you know, presenting itself in this movie. And yeah, he gets stabbed, and not gonna lie, it's kind of a cool shot. It was just like,
And then Richard Thorne gets interviewed by this photojournalist who shows him like every time he takes a picture of the priest, there's like a thing right through him, and you're like, ah,
yeah.
that's interesting. That's foreshadowing.
Yeah. I guess it was cool when it got explained, but the entire time they're like showing us like him in the red room and then showing us the negative. And they would show us the line, and it just looks like a smudge. And but the music will be like, "Ta-da!" You know, it's so funny because again it's old and like to us audience, you're just like, oh, what is that? Then you just get shocked by the music. I'm like, what?
Right. And then with the journalist and Richard Thorne, they find out like, again, you're like, the priest was investigating things, and he came to the conclusion that your son is the Antichrist. He was born 6 a.m. June 6th, in the 6th month, and you're like, well, that's an inconvenience if I've ever heard of one. Fuck.
I am like, so the mom, she takes like a nasty fall.
Right.
Yeah, she takes a nasty fall. She gets hospitalized, and now she's scared of Damien.
Yeah.
And like, Richard Thorne like has to go to Rome because the priest told him to.
Yeah.
And he has to find God, what's his name? Bugenhagen.
In
Oh,
Israel. First, he discovers the tomb of the Antichrist mom. They lift it up. It's just an animal, and you're like
yeah,
what
it's
the
a
fuck is
dog.
that?
By the way, this is cool though. I like this whole setting. So they go to a church,
Yeah.
and then they find out like, oh, the 666 is like the number of the beast kind of thing,
Yeah.
and this is what it represents. And they're like, oh shit, okay, that's a big deal. So they go to the burial of like the mom where they got Damien from, and they're like, it's a dog. And then I felt so bad for Richard because he was like, okay, maybe this one, because it's supposed to be my son, he might still be alive. And it's still his kid.
Yeah.
So somebody purposefully killed their son. By the way, that was a big ass baby.
Right. Hopefully the prequel this year answers questions of like, how unlucky does Richard have to be to get? Oh look, your child is the Antichrist. Good luck with that.
Yeah. By the way, like, so that means the nanny is the mom, like the original mom of Damien.
Yeah.
And like we have this scene where the dogs come in.
Yeah.
I don't like the scene. Like the setting for it, like the graveyard, like this old ruins, and then they're running away from the Rottweilers. I don't paint a bad picture on Rottweilers. They're very nice dogs.
Yeah.
Just don't anger them.
Yeah.
But,
at the same time, you're like, those are Rottweilers, and you're just getting grabbed like nothing's happening. Obviously, the actors have protection, but like, if you want to be realistic, I thought you would have more effects of like, my arm is being fucked. Help me.
Oh shit! I got rabies in my system.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, being bitten by that many dogs, I think it'll be too late anyway. If you had rabies.
I feel like you bleed out.
Exactly.
And then like Richard like gets stabbed by a fence.
Yeah. And then at that point, he tells his wife to go away somewhere, and he's like, "Don't worry, someone will pick you up." And then you find out it's Mrs. Baylock, and she just yeets Richard's wife off the window. And you're like,
I got shocked with that one. I was like, "Oh, I thought they were gonna." When I saw the wife come, I was like, "This is not a good ending."
I thought she was gonna get stabbed, not have such a dramatic death of like, "Oh fuck, Jesus Christ!"
Like shoots herself into an ambulance. I was like, "Damn." You know, like how ironic.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what a perfect landing for such a horrible scene. Holy shit. And then
okay, just think about it. Put yourself in this setting of like, what if this was happening in the 21st century, where there's a person in political power, and all of a sudden, weird shit starts happening to him, and like especially on the news where you see his wife died. You know, her wife gets attacked by monkeys out of nowhere. Her wife dies. A priest dies in their town.
Yeah.
Like you as like a person of this country would be like, what the fuck is going on?
Right. I think my paranoia, I would be like, I've seen the signs in the in my past. I think I may be wrong when choosing my life decisions. I think it's time to go back to my old ways, you know?
Yeah, and like the nanny like unalives herself, and like, what is going on with the Thorne family?
All right. And then they go to Megiddo in Israel, and they meet this guy who tells Richard Thorne, like, you need to stab your son with these knives, one for the flesh, the other for the spirit. And you're like, how's it gonna look for the ambassador of London, though? Like,
I was also thinking the same thing. I was like, he's not coming back from this, because like like, I get it if it's like a regular dude or a farmer who you're asking, like, you know, some country bumpkin that nobody knows would like stab their kid because they are the Antichrist. But like somebody in political power would be like, I stabbed my kid.
Right.
I can explain.
And then the journalist is like, if you won't do it, I will. And he goes to fetch the knives that Richard drew, and he gets
Final Destination.
Right, exactly. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ Almighty.
Yeah, that shit was sick, though.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell that it's a fake head, but like that shit was sick.
Yeah, you're like, for that man, that's impressive for the 70s. Holy fuck. Yeah. And then,
by the way, I like it that they go to like these tombs. They go to like Israel where it's all dusty and stuff, and you would expect somebody to wear like cargo pants and a t-shirt. Here they're wearing like two-piece suits and like bell bottoms and leather shoes. I'm like, yeah, let's bring that back.
Why not? Then Richard commits. He is set out to kill his own kid, but first he has to check his head. It has 666, and lo and behold. And at the same time, you're like, have you never noticed that as a dad when Damien was growing up?
Yeah.
How do you not know? Babies don't have hair. So how do you not
Or
notice
like
it?
if they do it, it's like very minimal. You can still see their scalp. Like
Yeah,
right now, my nephew, kid has hair, but like I could see like I even like double checked on it's not the devil, you know?
yeah. Like throughout his whole life, you weren't like, huh, why is there 3 6s on the scalp
Or
or
be
something?
like, oh, that's a cool birthmark. You know?
Numbers, why not? And then
Yeah.
Mrs. Baylock attacks Richard, and you're like, it's the 70s, man. I don't know how this is gonna go down. Is the dog gonna interfere? Is Mrs. Baylock gonna stab him? But no, Richard gets the upper hand, and he drives to the church to kill his son. And again, it answers the question of like, how is this gonna look for the ambassador? Because he's just driving through the streets of London like a madman, and the police are like, Mr. Ambassador, hello,
Yeah,
sir.
like police are like hot on the chase, and they're like they don't know what's going on, and they're like, oh, some crazy dude, like in a white car is like on his way to a church, and then they get there, and then yeah, not the best luck. Like he's like mid stab, and clearly the man is already gonna do it out of desperation.
Yeah,
And I was like, nah, he ain't making it.
yeah. Then you hear a gunshot, and at first you're like, well, at least he died saving the world, saving all of existence, and you're like, well, he's an unsung hero. Good for you, sir. And then
Yeah,
you pan to like some secret service agent because he is the ambassador to London. He's like, oh, Mr. President, Mrs. First Lady, your car or something is getting ready for you guys to leave. And then you
yeah.
see Damien with the president, and you're like, huh,
He
hey.
looks at the camera,
And you're just like, oh,
you know.
Jesus
And
Cristo.
all that, yeah, all that's missing is that. Dun, 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 dun.
And you're like, well, shit. Oh, what now?
Yeah, and that's how the movie ends. And like the kid won. So I'm like, well, that's how future politics came to be.
uh, like, makes you wonder if ever there was an Antichrist, would we ever grow suspicious of his ways if he was doing the things the Bible says he was doing, and you're like, you know what? You know what? Maybe I was wrong to become an atheist. Maybe I should just go back to my old ways and live the rest of existence happily.
I mean, I think I gotta pray a little harder.
Alright? Um, so who do you think is the Antichrist? No, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's such an interesting concept.
Yeah. Like
Or,
like horror movies went political. Like what if what if the Grudge was in the cabinet? You know?
right? It's like, what if the villain is the ultimate villain of all existence? You're like, what do you do now? How are you supposed
Yeah.
to win against that?
You know, like the Antichrist is part of the Illuminati. I guess that's what's every like tinfoil's explanation nowadays.
Yeah. But what would you rate the original Omen?
Uh, well, I am a very big fan of Atticus Finch, so like I do love the setting for it. I do love the story and the concept. Again, if this movie was made today, I feel like they would have gone a little crazy with it. I'm not gonna lie, if A24 touched upon this, I'm like, ooh, cool.
Yeah.
Um, was it scary? It's more of suspense than scary.
Yeah.
There is no ghost, there is no demon. It is just like prophesize
Yeah.
and stuff and like crazy mothers. Um, and yeah, like very weird superstition and like odd circumstances, like lightning hitting a pike and stabbing a dude, and like this dude accidentally sitting on his emergency brake as the car like starts rolling down and cuts some dude's head off. Like I don't know, I kind of like the journey, but I hate horror movies when they do this where the main character struggles to finish it, you know, and then at the end of it the thing still wins.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of that. It's still a good movie, I like it, but it's not a big fan of like, oh, he didn't make it movie.
Oh.
You know, unless it's very smart. If it's like, do you know what was it? The Descent?
Yeah.
Like it left you thinking whether if she got out of the cave, did she not? Is she hallucinating now? Mm.
I
You know?
mean, there's one ending that gives a definitive answer to that. Of like, oh, I guess she didn't. That sucks.
Yeah, yeah. And then like but yeah, so other than that, it's still a good movie. I like seeing Atticus Finch back on the screen, other than, To Kill a Mockingbird. Um I'll give this one a solid 7 out of 10. Not scary, suspenseful. Story's interesting, but it is an old movie, and the stuff that they do doesn't really freak me out all that much.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you read it as a book, I guess it would scare you because your imagination would go haywire.
Yeah.
But with this movie, it's showing you what's happening, and so you're like, like, oh.
Yeah, I'll give this a 7 out of 10 as well. Like, just because, again, like you, I don't find it scary. I mean, I don't find the Antichrist scary because I don't believe in that. So I'm like, oh well, no, well,
Heretic!
all right. It's like when they were like, it will come out of the sea. I was like, so is it like the colossal titan, just with
Yeah,
666?
that'd be cool. Like we get like robots to fight him.
Right? Hopefully we get Gundams instead of just us flaying ourselves, hoping we get the name.
Dude, not gonna lie, I love it that we always have like a themed week.
Yeah.
Or like a theme, like for a holiday, and we have Holy Week. By the way, it's not my decision; it's the atheist's decision. Like, it's so fucking weird. Which way are you, by the way?
This way.
Am I pointing right?
Correct.
It's the atheist's decision to make these videos, so give the atheist some credit.
Yes. Yeah, 7 out of 10. It's a good movie. I would recommend it if you like suspenseful movies, but like, if you want something really scary, I wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend the Descent as well, because that is just terrifying. Even before they see the monsters, you're like, can you get out of this fucking cave, please?
Yeah, I never understood spelunking or like, do you know like the cave diving where they're like, I could shimmy my shoulder this way and I can move forward. Nah, I don't like.
No, thank you. But yeah. That's our video for the original Omen. What do you guys think? What's your, to the audience and to Jum, what's your favorite classic horror movie from like before the century, obviously?
I always loved the concept of The Thing. I don't know if we did a video on The Thing, but like I like The Thing.
Not yet, but we will soon someday.
Yeah, just like, man, how crazy! Like it's Among Us. It's Among Us.
It's Among Us, but with just John Carpenter and Kurt Russell.
Yeah, like how freaky is that? Like you're in a set of friends in an isolated place where you can't really leave, and then like you have an alien that's mimicking other people, and you're like, and you get an ending where you don't know if we won or not.
Right. I'll go with sticking to the theme of religion. I'll go with The Exorcist.
Yeah, that was a good one. We did a review on.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yes. But yeah, if you like our videos, please leave them a like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest moments on Spotify to hear us on the go. In the video, I am Zoda's Voices on TikTok and Anne's Wolf on Letterboxd. What is happening? Yes.
I don't know.
Where can I find you, good sir?
Oh, you can find me at JohnJu _ on Instagram. This is my account.
And until the next one, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.